Hello everyone. This is the second class or this is the second session for MCQ question based on for loop in Java. And in the first session or in the part one, we have discussed some question based on the basic level and we try to understand how the for loop works. Today we are going to see some intermediate level kind of question and we'll see what can be the output for that and we'll try to understand what is the concept behind that. So here I'm going to give you the question number 5. So the question number 5 on my screen is here. So you can see this is again one question based on the for loop. And here you can see the class name we have given as a loop question 5 and we have the main method. And then inside the main method somehow I have the for loop and inside the for loop I have one statement that is of hello world. And then I'm closing this bracket for the loop, for the main method and for the class. Now I want to know what can be the output for this. So we have four options here. The option 1, hello world will print. The option B, compile time error. The option C, the runtime error. And the option D, hello world will print infinite times. Now I want to know what can be the output for this. So if you see this question on the first look, if you see this question, the once you see this question, in the first view, we can say that this can throw the some compile time error. This can throw some compile time error in the first view. Why? Because you can see here the for loop, how I am writing here. We have just given the two semicolon. And if you are learning the for loop first time, or if you are seeing this kind of the for loop first time, you will say, sir, this is going to give the compile time error. But 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 this loop is not going to give you any compile time error or any runtime error. Now, why this loop is not going to give you compile time and runtime error? So there are two tricks to identify which loop can give you the compile time error and which loop cannot give you the runtime error. So mostly, what is the syntax for the for loop? So the syntax for the for loop, let me write here. What is the syntax for the for loop? So inside the for loop, we have to initialize the variable. We have to initialize the variable, then semicolon, then we have to check the condition, then we have to check the condition, and then again semicolon. And the third one, we have to update the expression. So here I can say like we have to initialize the expression or initialize the variable, then condition, and the third one updation, or we have to update the variable value. So this is the syntax. So here always remember here this initialization or initialization of the variable or is initialize the variable. This is optional. The condition is optional, and the updation. This all three are optional. This all three are optional. This is not mandatory, and because of that reason, I am saying this is not going to give you compile time error. The second tricks to remember that if this for loop, you can see here in this for loop, everything is getting divided. We have two semicolon. So after initialization, there is one semicolon, and after condition, we have another semicolon. So if you have a loop in which we have the two semicolon, then this kind of the loop is not going to give you any compile time error. This kind of the loop is not going to give you the compile time error. So at least we can rule out the option B and option C, and now we have the option A and option B, and out of this option A and option B, we want to know what can be the output. So this is the example of the infinite loop. Okay, this is the example of infinite loop. Once this loop will be start, no one is there to stop this loop. So in case of for loop, if you will see this kind of the loop, and just if you'll see this kind of the loop, the first thing come into the mind. This is the example of this is the infinite loop, and if my loop will be start, it will go till infinite times, and if any statement inside the loop will be there, that will get print infinite times. So somehow the option D is here the right option. So this is the example of for loop, which is the I can say this is the infinite loop example in case of for loop. The same thing if you want to see in the while loop. So in while loop, how we can make the loop as infinite loop. So in case of while loop, if we write while true and if we write any statement inside this, so if I will write any statement inside this, then this will be the also example of infinite loop. But in case of while loop, this condition is mandatory. Here all are optional. I mean to say initialization, condition, and updation or update the variable, all are optional. Nothing is mandatory here. But in case of while loop, this is mandatory. If you not give this condition, it will give you the compile time error. So understand, this is the example of the for loop. This is the example of the infinite loop, and this is there is no compile time error, no runtime error. Yeah, but here one more thing: if you remove one semicolon, then this is going to give you the compile time error. Okay, so always make sure if I have the for loop like this, make sure there should be two semicolon inside the loop, and if you want to write any one like any one expression you want to define there, that is also possible. I mean to say, I do not want to write the initialization, since this is optional, this is also optional, and this is optional. So like I want to write the condition here, you can write easily, there is no problem. Okay, there is no problem. You can write the condition only, that is also correct, and there is no compile time error, no runtime error. I hope this is the clear why this is going to give the compile time error. Sorry, why this is going to why this is not going to give a compile time error, and it will print the hello world till infinite times. Clear? Okay. So if it is clear, now I'm going to the similar kind of question, and that is the question number 6, and that question number 6 is on your screen now here. So here again you can see we have the question number 6, not the 7. So I can see that this is the question 6, and this is the similar to the last example. This is the similar to the last example. Again, you can see here we have two semicolons. So I can say that this loop is not going to give you at least compile time error. This loop is not going to give you compile time error. But now I want to know what can be the output for this. Okay. So just we have discussed the last question, and this example is also based on the last question. So let me tell you what can be the output for this. So here, see, we have one variable. The variable name is the B, and the data type for this B is Boolean, and the value I'm assigning as a false. So here, any problem with this loop? No. We know that the initialization, the condition, and the updation of the expression are optional. Even the curly bracket here, this is also optional. This is also optional. Okay, this is not mandatory part, and because of that reason, I'm saying this is not going to give any compile time error. Now, here you can see what is the condition do we have here. So this condition is false. And if this condition is false, somehow the body of the code is not going to execute. And here you can see this line, if you don't have the curly bracket, then we'll assume that the first line after the for is considered as a body of the for loop. If you are not writing the statement inside, if you are not using this curly bracket, it means that if you are not using this curly bracket, it means that the first line which will come after this, that will consider as a body of the for loop. So here the hello will consider the first statement system.out.println is the body of the for loop. And when this line will print, if my condition will be true, but here this condition is false. This condition is false. So somehow here this line is not going to print. What is the condition? Condition is false, and because this condition is false, this line is not going to print. So here, what will be the output? The output will be the second statement, and the second statement, what I want to print here, high. So the final answer for this example, the option C is the right answer for this. Option C. Option C is the right answer for this. Any doubt? If no, let me change the language once. Let me check. Yeah, it is Java only. Fine. So that the question number 5 and question number 6 was almost similar, only there was some minor changes, and based on that minor changes, somehow the output is also going to change. Now we are going to see the question number 7. So question number 7 we have here. So you can see the question number 7, what we have here. We have one class, and inside this class we have the main method, and then we have the while loop. Now this is the example of while loop, not the for loop. Last two example was based on the for loop. But this example is not based on the for loop. This is based on the while loop. And somehow what I'm trying to do here, I'm checking the condition of the while loop, and then somehow I have the if condition as well to break the loop. So I have the if condition as well to break the loop, and then I'm trying to print the I value, and somehow I'm trying to update the expression or update the I value. Now here I want to know what can be the output or what will be the right answer from this option. So you can see here, this, if first let understand one thing, if I will not write this statement, if I don't have this thing, If I don't have the break, then this is somehow the example of infinite loop. Just now I told you, if you want to achieve the infinite loop in the while loops, you have to pass the true condition. And this is a true condition, then this once this loop will be start, no one is there to terminate this loop. And somehow this will be the example of infinite loop. But here somehow I have some condition, and here I have the if condition, and somehow because of this if condition, after some time, once my this condition will get true, this loop will get break. Now I want to know what can be the output for this and when this loop is going to break. So tell me here, what is the uh, value for the while? True. So somehow this condition is true. Once this condition will be true, somehow the control will come inside the line number 137. And you can see here 137. What is the I value? I value is 0. 0 is greater than 10. This condition is false. 0, I will get replaced by 0. And checking the condition, on the first time, 0 is greater than equal to 10. So this condition is false. If this condition is false, the body of the if will not execute. I mean to say this break statement will skip by the controller. This break statement will skip by the compiler, or this will skip by the control, and somehow will come outside from this body of the if. So will come outside of the body of if. I mean to say, you will reach the control will come on line number 40. Since this condition is true, this part will not get executed. Nothing will get executed from the if body of if part, and somehow I will reach to this line. And here you can see this is nothing but system.out.println I, and somehow I want to print the value of I and then I plus plus. So here the first time what it will print, the first time it will print as a 0. After printing the 0, here the I value will become now 1. Okay, now I value will become 1. This is the step 1. In the step 1, this will happen. Okay, now step 2. Step 2. Okay, step 2. So in step 2, again, once the control will reach here, they will again come and check the condition. Now the condition is still true. No one is making this one false. Okay, and here now we will check the value of I. So what is the I value? The I value you can see here. The I value after step 1, it was 1. After step 1, the I value was 1. Okay. The control will come here. The control will not go here. So again, it will not reinitialize with 0. The I value is become 1. It will not be 0. Okay. Now here, I is equal to 1. Again, still the 1 is not greater than 10. In second step, still 1 is not greater than equal to 10. This condition is false. If this condition will false, this loop will not execute, this condition will not execute, and somehow I am going to print the value of I, and it will in the step 2 it will print the value of I as a 1. And here in the step 2 the value of I will become 2. So step 2 the I value will become 2, but here it is printing 1 because I plus plus is after the system.out.println. Now again it will come to check the condition, and then again this loop will be false. So this loop will false until only the I value not be equal to 10. So once I value will become equal to 10, somehow this loop will get executed. So somehow the value will print here 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 till 9. And once the I value will become 10, the control will come here and they will check the condition. Now the condition is true. Once the condition will be true, I have the break statement here inside the if, and this break is responsible to terminate the loop. I mean to say, once this break will execute, we will come outside from this while loop. So somehow I will reach here. I will come after line number 142. And after 142, I don't have anything. But here it has already printed the I value. And even I want to know the output for the I itself. So I value will become 0 to 9. So option A is the right answer for this. Right answer is option A. It will print 0 to 9. Once the value will become 10, somehow the loop is going to break, and because of that reason, the I will not print. Clear? Okay. Question number 8. So question number 8 here, I can say, oh, sorry. So